Hi, I'm Kenton, and this is Kenton Knows. In this video, I'm going to cover some unique and profitable options to consider adding to your real estate properties. I'm fairly certain you won't be aware of all the options I'll be sharing, but hopefully you'll hear something that may add value to your portfolio. If you like this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. Many of these options will only apply to particular properties or locations, but they are, in my opinion, fun and unique options to consider for additional income. I haven't done them all, but I have thought about them all at one time or another and thought it would be a fun video to do. Now, we'll start with vending machines. If your property is big enough, or if you are in a densely populated area, you might consider getting a vending machine either in the building or just outside the building on the property. You can, of course, buy a new or used vending machine and stock it yourself. Or, if there's enough demand, you can pay a company to do it for you, and they'll take care of everything. Then just send you a check periodically. This one I have actually tried. I have a 3-unit building, which is less than a block away from the main entrance of Wrigley Field. On the corner across from the stadium is a bar called the Cubby Bear that had Coke vending machines. So I contacted Pepsi Vending and asked if they would put vending machines in my front yard. Since there are literally thousands of people walking in front of my building for the 80+ Cubs home games per year, plus the countless people who walk by every other night heading to and from the bars and restaurants around the stadium, Pepsi was happy to supply me with a Pepsi and a Gatorade/water vending machine. It was great. All I supplied was electricity. The truck stopped by to restock it each week, and they mailed me a check each month. Unfortunately, I only had them for a little less than 2 years, between 2004 and 2006. I made about $700 over that 2 years, but there was a new condo building that was built nearby, and the neighbors got upset. They complained to the alderman, and the city made me remove them. It was fun while it lasted, I made some money on it, and everyone in the area knew my property as the building with the Pepsi machines in the front yard. I still own the property, just no vending machines right now. Maybe someday I'll be able to bring them back, but I haven't been able to find a way to do it yet. Next, I tried to get an ATM on the same property, but I couldn't convince a bank to do it, and I didn't want to do it myself with one of the independent companies, which was my next option. If you have a property that might be a good spot for an ATM, I'd highly recommend looking into it as another passive source of revenue. I'm guessing you already rent or include your parking spaces in your leases. But in some locations, if you have open spaces, you might consider using Spot Hero or a similar parking space service to rent the spaces for you. You can even use Spot Hero to rent your spaces while you're out of town for the weekend or on a vacation. This can even work for your home, condo, or vacation home if there is a demand for parking in the area. You'll just need to be sure they are marked with letters or numbers so someone can identify the correct space to park in. If you have vacant land, you might consider seeing if you can rent the space for boat, RV, or truck parking. All you'll need to do is have the area covered in gravel or paved. Depending on your area, you may need to have it fenced in or locked. If you don't want anyone parking on your land, you could see if you can find a group or person interested in paying you to allow them to create a garden on your property. This definitely won't pay much, but it is a nice use of the land if you know you aren't planning to use it for anything else over the summer. Or you could try to rent your property seasonally to someone who sells produce in the summer, pumpkins in the fall, or Christmas trees in the winter. Another option with vacant land would be to consider building an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, if the municipality would approve it. Or perhaps look into building storage lockers or garage spaces to rent. If you're unsure about it, you can test the concept with portable storage units first. If there is a demand for either, they're fairly inexpensive to build, and they should pay for themselves in a few years. Speaking of storage units, you may want to consider building storage lockers in your empty basements to rent out to your tenants. A simple cage or room can be built with 2x4s and drywall or plywood, or you could simply use some fencing to separate the spaces. Another option would be to consider adding a basement apartment. Just be sure you follow local codes, which normally require a front and back door, windows to escape from, and a minimum ceiling height. This can be a great addition to your property though. If you can't do a basement apartment and don't want to do storage spaces, you might consider adding a bike room or other shared space to your basement as another option. I recently added a bike room to one of my properties. It is the same property that I mentioned in my toxic tenant video. The tenant had a key to the basement to store his bike there, but he left it on the porch one night and it got stolen. After that, I figured I might as well just add a room to the empty basement with a bike rack so everyone in the building could store their bikes there. If your property has a vacant exterior wall and is on a major street, you may want to reach out to a local advertising agency to see if they would put a small sign on the side of your property and sell the space for you. Or if you have the land and there is demand for it, you could see if you could put an actual billboard on your property. Since these are much more expensive, I'd recommend talking to some of the larger players like Lamar or Clear Channel to see if they are interested, as they'll know if there's enough demand to warrant it and if the municipality would allow one to be installed on your property. What about a cell tower or rooftop wireless equipment? These are great assets to have, as you'll get paid just to have the equipment on your roof or land. You'll normally just need to give them access to the equipment for a periodic maintenance or repair. I personally would love to have a property with them on my roof, but sadly, I don't. Now, here's the crazy part. Do you want to see if you can get these assets on your property? Crowncastle has an online form you can fill out and you'll be in their database for available locations anytime any provider asks them for a new location in your area. I'll put the link in the description below. Just go online, enter your address, fill out the form with your contact information. Maybe they'll need your location. Personally, I've submitted all of my properties to them. Fingers crossed, they'll contact me soon. Of course, I've been on the list since about 2010, but I'm still hoping. You can also contact the other wireless carriers and American Tower as well. They just don't have the nice, easy online form that Crowncastle does. I do know there is an increasing need for locations where coverage is minimal or near intersections where data traffic can be heavier. So add your address to the list and maybe they'll reach out and pay you to install their equipment on your roof or property. If you have an underutilized common exercise room, you might consider allowing local fitness instructors to rent it out for private classes. Or if you have another vacant space in your property, try to see who might want to rent it. Just talk to your insurance broker to see what insurance the person or company needs to have to protect you from any liability. This might seem a little more unusual, but you can actually make money from putting a donation bin on your property. usagain and other for-profit companies will pay you approximately $50 to $150 per month, depending on the volume of donations received. But be careful, as these can be a nuisance to maintain since people may not always put everything in the bin. But it could be another option for an additional revenue source on the right property. I'm not sure how many locations might make sense for this, but you could install an evgo or similar electric car charging station on your property and get paid for people needing to charge their car. A similar but much less expensive option would be to install a 240 volt outlet in your garage to entice a renter who drives an electric car to rent your apartment or a garage. Even though this one isn't a monthly income source, I thought I'd mention that if your building is 4 units or more and you have an electric strike at your lobby door, Amazon will install their Amazon Key for Business for free. And as the building owner, you will get a one-time Amazon credit of $100. I have personally installed it at several of my buildings. I did a short video on it, the link is below, and I have received the $100 Amazon credit. Literally no cost to me for any of it. And the tenants appreciate that their Amazon packages are always securely placed inside the lobby. I hope you enjoyed watching this video on other fun and interesting revenue sources to add to your real estate property. If you know of any other options or ideas, I would love to hear from you. I'm always looking to see how I can increase the profitability of the properties I already own, or a way to add value to a property that no one else sees. I'd really appreciate it if you could like this video, and if you'd like to hear more from me, please consider subscribing and clicking the bell. Thank you for watching Kenton Knows, and I wish you the best of luck with your real estate properties.